Trump is furious and literally dropped some bombshell news over what is actually happening behind the scenes when it comes to the FBI, when it comes to Hurricane Helene. You're not going to believe it. The FBI right now is stonewalling Congress from investigating the Iranian hackers who hacked Donald Trump's campaign and gave that info to the Harris campaign. The Trump campaign has asked for information, but they're not getting anything from the FBI, and neither is Congress. So they're trying to say, what, are y'all trying to side with Harris because y'all won't let us into what they and let us know what they actually hacked and what information they took? On top of that, there is now video evidence of a Blackhawk helicopter in western North Carolina that is sabotaging volunteer supply zones. It's literally flying down, and with the air and stuff, it's shooting all the supplies everywhere. This is insane. This is a Blackhawk helicopter. Who is telling them to do this? On top of that, Elon Musk does an interview with Tucker Carlson where he leaks that they tried to provide assistance to hurricane victims and that him and his team were basically turned away by FEMA and the feds. Also, a CNN legal analyst just literally destroys the case that Jack Smith has against Trump and on the election case in Washington, D.C. I'm telling you, this is on CNN, but the truth is coming out and they can't deny it. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. We want to serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. We got some breaking news for you tonight. And just want to say thank you to everybody that is supporting our channel through the memberships. The link is in the description, or through the super chats. Remember, we're donating our super chat donations and the memberships to the Hurricane Helene victims. And most likely it'll also go to the Hurricane, I think it's Milton victims too as well. Lord willing that nobody gets hurt, but they really need help right now, and we're going to use this channel to bring good, positive change by coming together. We appreciate you all so much, appreciate your support, but let's jump right into this news because this is crazy. Check it out.
FBI isn't cooperating with Congress. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
What's going on this time?
I mean, you know this, Trey. Yeah, great point. They never seem to want to give us information that, frankly, we're entitled to as a separate and equal branch of government. But this is just a briefing. This is routine for them. All we ask for is just brief us on what took place here. I mean, remember the backdrop, and you were just talking about this. We're 1 year removed from when the biggest state sponsor of terrorism terrorists attack our best friend in the state of Israel. Iran's the largest state sponsor of this kind of crazy, evil actions. They've fired rockets at Israel. They want to assassinate President Trump. They want to assassinate Prime Minister Netanyahu. And all we're asking for is tell us about this hack of the Trump campaign. How did it happen? When did it happen? How did information go from the Trump campaign to the Harris campaign and then wind up in the press? We just think that's something the American people, like what Congress would like.
And the FBI is giving them nothing. I'm telling you, there's a cover up here.
And the American people would like to know, and they refuse to give us even a briefing.
All right, I think you were probably present for what I'm about to play, but let's listen to it together and see if it jogs your memory.
At the end of the day, people can disagree, can agree, but they will at least understand that the decision was made and the recommendation was made the way you would want it to be, by people who didn't give a hoot about politics, but who cared about what are the facts, what is the law, and how have similar people, all people, been treated in the past.
So there it is, Chairman.
Yeah,
the FBI doesn't give a hoot about politics. How well did that quote age, in your opinion?
Not very well. In fact, we had one guy who was actually found guilty of lying to the FISA court, Mr. Kleinsmith. I mean, actually changed an email 180 degrees when they were spying on the president's campaign, President Trump's campaign, getting the warrant at the FISA court. So there's been a host of, we found the memorandum from the Richmond field office saying if you're a pro-life Catholic, somehow you're an extremist. We know extremist. Somehow we know that the the Department of Justice was looking to investigate moms and dads showing up at school board meetings. So that doesn't carry a whole lot of weight when we hear that from the former.
Do y'all hear this crap? Like they literally they were targeting moms and dads showing up at school board meetings because they wanted to know what the heck was going on with their kids. There's so much going on with the FBI, with the CIA, with all these feds, and people are at a point now where they have the least amount of trust in these government agencies. Let me know your thoughts.
Attorney General. But think about this, Trey. If it was the other way around, because here's what happened. We know that they hacked the Trump campaign and it was a dossier on vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance. If it had been the other way around, if they would have hacked the Harris campaign Iran had and then leaked a 271-page dossier on Tim Walz to the Trump campaign and somehow that winds up in the press, well, for goodness sake, there'd already be a special counsel. The whole town would be in an uproar. And all we're asking for is a briefing and they can't do it? I mean, and this is the same FBI who released the bounty letter, which is contrary to protocol for them. This is the same FBI who retaliated against whistleblowers. I mean, this is the FBI that we want. Just give us a briefing. And again, they refuse to do so.
I'm not sure there is a difference between the media and the Harris-Walz campaign, but we will save that for another day. I want you and I to listen to Tim Walz together on the border, and then I want to ask you about it on the other side.
Her border policies are the most strongest, the fairest we've seen. James Langford in Oklahoma, the Border Patrol agents, the Wall Street Journal, the Chamber of Commerce, all said pass this legislation. You have to have Congress to authorize 1,500 new border agents. You have to have Congress to authorize DOJ to speed adjudications on these asylum claims. That's what Kamala Harris is talking about.
Well,
She's talking
Governor,
about solving the problem.
I got 3 quick questions for you, Chairman. If the border was secure, why did they need the Senate border bill? If the border was not secure, why did they wait 3.5 years to propose it?
Exactly.
And can they name a single dead American that would still be alive, even had this bill passed?
Yeah, no, great, all good questions, but you're exactly right. This was deliberate, this was intentional, this was premeditated, done on day one when they said no more remain in Mexico, no more building the wall, and when you get to the border, you will not be detained, you will be released. 10 million migrants have entered the country, illegal migrants have entered the country under the Biden-Harris regime, 99 on the terrorist watch list. Thousands of thousands of criminals have come in, and they've lost track of 300,000 kids. Now, if that's a secure border, then I guess we're all crazy then, but we know that's not the case. And I think this is an issue that's front and center on the minds of voters. They know under President Trump we had a secure border. They know today we have no border. And that's going to be something that's going to impact people as they vote here over the next 30 days.
Let me tell you this. I just want to say real quick, thank you to Al Persicino. Welcome to the family. Daniel, Michelle Fayela. Hopefully I said that right. Welcome to the True Life News family. Everybody show them some love in the chat. Thank you to the British Perspective who said be awake, not woke. Show the British Perspective some love in the chat. It's all by design. Look at this chart. They brought them in. This is the number of people registering to vote without ID in 2024. Look at this. They're in literally, we're talking about not just thousands. We're talking about millions. Like, this is insane. Look at it. The swing states, Arizona is the first bar. Missouri, big bar over here. Pennsylvania, big bar. Texas, they're trying to turn Texas blue. You don't think that those 10 plus million that were given these registration forms to try to vote and all that, we all know it's true. We know it's by design. Kid Rock posted this, said, do you remember when we didn't have $5 billion to build the wall? Yet now we have $700 billion to give to other countries. In case you haven't figured it out, this is money laundering 101. Like, we don't have a truth, transparent administration right now. What we have is people that are trying to fill their own agenda, and they're trying to make sure that they get and stay in power. Thank you so much, Terry Easter, for the super chat. Said, good evening, everyone. Joel, I appreciate you having a clean channel and bringing the real news. Love and appreciate what you and your wife does with the money. 100%. Terry, we appreciate you too. Everybody, show Terry some love in the chat. We are big givers, y'all. We love to give back. I came up from nothing. My wife came up from nothing. And what we want to do is make sure that as God blesses us, that we give back in return, and you're going to see it a lot on this channel. Check this out.
And I assure you, hurricanes really suck. But why don't we have money for hurricanes? Because we're giving money to illegals. Justin was kind enough to put this up. This is from Anna Paulina Luna's Twitter account. Anna Paulina Luna is a congresswoman from guess where? You'd never believe it. She's from Florida, so she knows a little bit about hurricanes too. Here is where your money's going. FEMA has no money to help you out. Sorry, you sad sack taxpayers. Too bad, so sad. DHS announces $380 million in funding on communities receiving migrants, i.e. illegals. DHS announces another $77 million in congressional funding for communities receiving migrants. Wait, leave that up. Folks, I want you to just stew in all these headlines for a minute. So the Federal Emergency Management Agency, funded by your stolen taxpayer dollars, by these absolute pieces of garbage in the government, is now not responding to emergencies. They're now stealing your money to go to give to illegals. Here's another one. DHS is going to distribute more than $12 million in funding. That's to the U.S. Embassy in El Salvador. FEMA awards $110 million to food and shelter programs to assist migrants, i.e. illegals. Here's Politico. New York City, they get $104 million. These are all separate headlines, folks. From FEMA for asylum
that's
seekers.
The worst part
you
about
people
it.
in the hurricane zone, you get the double-barrel middle finger. Illegal migrants. Here's one more. Let's throw one more at you. DHS announces $300 million in direct funding to communities receiving migrants. Oh, I didn't even read this is a double. And $340 million for a new competitive awards process for illegals. Left-wing media, you can call this. There it is, Anna Paulina Luna. What is that surrounding her district, that blue stuff on the map? I always get confused. Well, Justin's correct me. I was going to say water, but right now it's actually a hurricane. See, Anna Paulina Luna actually lives in and represents a district surrounded by blue stuff. It's even blue stuff on Google Maps, the hack site. And that's like, liberals, that's water. That's meant to be like bodies of water, oceans, lakes, rivers, you know. So there we go. So she knows a little bit. And where's it? Why is FEMA out of money? Because your government is giving it to Lebanon. No, not Lebanon, Pennsylvania, or Lebanon, North Carolina. Lebanon, the country hosting a terror group. And it's giving hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, FEMA, to assist illegals in breaking U.S. laws. Now, left-wing media, and I'm talking to you pieces of garbage, you can pretend this is a conspiracy theory all you want. One, nobody believes you because you are absolute communist liars. Second, I just gave everyone the headlines and the facts. You can try to
100%.
carve this up all you want. Oh, it's different tranches of money in FEMA. Tranches of money are meaningless. President Biden could have come in tomorrow and said, hey, that money that we were giving to illegals, I want that moved, Congress, into a different fund in FEMA, and could have immediately taken care of you guys tomorrow and ladies. But he doesn't, because he's sunning his on the beach, trying to up his testosterone, while his cackling vice president is sitting there, put a little toothpaste in the bag, taking ridiculous photo ops, clogging up the assembly line, and wasting people's time. It's pathetic. This woman, look at this pathetic scene. If this woman doesn't lose this election by 300 electoral votes, I got to tell you, the country's finished. I'm not going anywhere. Lefties, I'm moving out. I ain't moving out of I'm staying here because it's my country. You're going to have to put me in jail? I don't care.
I'm sorry, y'all. I bleep out all the cuss. I try to bleep them all out to catch them all just because we got to keep it clean on the show.
Do it. My kid's legacy, I'm going to tell them at least my dad fought you idiots to the end, but you're disgusting. You and your running Delaware president are absolutely gross. You make me sick. I want to throw up. If this was a Republican president who was sunning his beach and sitting there faking on an assembly line, putting toothpaste in a bag, while you're giving all of our tax money to illegals and Lebanon, while we suffer, it would be the end. Absolute, you'd be impeached tomorrow. Scott Jennings brought this up on CNN, a guy whose commentary I've come to really appreciate. And he made a far more eloquent point than me. I'm going to play that in a minute. Terry on CNN, Scott Jennings. He's been tearing it up. And the good news is CNN, I'm convinced they're going to get rid of this guy soon, because I can't believe they let this guy go on there and actually say things that are not ridiculous liberal communist talking points. Here he is on CNN saying exactly what I just told you. You know damn well with this communist media filth that if this were a Republican president that had failed this badly, it's amazing how George W. Bush, by the way, I am absolutely no fan of. I hope you guys understand that. George W. Bush, when you go back and look at Katrina, were mistakes made? Yeah. But the majority of mistakes were made at the state and local level. You look at the Louisiana governor and the mayor of New Orleans at the time, what they did. The death toll now from Helene has far surpassed Katrina. And yet Katrina is still considered to be a big George W. Bush failure because the communist media has told you that. What's happened with Helene is an abomination. Biden should be impeached just on principle alone. Watch Jennings make exactly this point. Check this out.
Really lived through Hurricane Katrina in the Bush White House, and as I know you lived through it, Anderson, covering it. And I don't recall any restraint by Democrats or the national media coming
Not
after
at all.
George W. Bush and FEMA and every other thing. And it was immediately politicized. And, you know, I well remember it. It's seared into my brain. And so now all these people are out here saying, we can't politicize this. We can't criticize this. Nothing can be said about Biden and Harris here or FEMA or anything else. And I just think, well, if a Republican were in the White House and the Republican president were at the beach and the vice president were raising money with celebrities, I guarantee you somebody would be mad about it.
100%. Matthew Clement, welcome to the True Life News family. I'm telling you this. You don't think that they're trying to cover up stuff that's going on right now? This is so bad. What I'm about to show you, I hope you're sitting down. This is so bad of these that's going around right now that I don't even know what to make of this. But they are saying it's a Blackhawk helicopter that... This is a Blackhawk helicopter that is coming down on volunteers. This is in Hurricane Helene, Western North Carolina, and basically just messing everything up. Look at this. I gotta turn it off because they have some choice language. But look at this. What is it doing? What are they doing there? Nobody knows. But watch what it does. It literally hovers down and everything starts going everywhere. Look at this. Look at this. People start running. Like, what the crap is going on? And then it flies away. Everybody's like, what is this? What is going on? Look at this right here. Sorry, I got to turn this off. Look, they're trying to videotape it because look, when it's come down, it's just shooting stuff everywhere. This is a Blackhawk helicopter. And they're trying to figure out, like, what is it doing? Well, this is coming from the government. This is why people are upset right now because they're like, who would tell them to do this? Look at this stuff. That's why, I mean, guys, we're in a bad state right now. Something's going on. Somebody's mad, and this needs to be addressed. Check out what you're about to see here.
Folks, the media are disgusting. I don't want to waste your time, so I didn't get into it, but I, for some bizarre reason, gave an interview to a local guy around here in the media. I really don't want to, because nobody cares about this loser. He's like in his basement with the Jergens and some Pop-Tarts or something, so I don't really want to waste any time. I'm just saying, like, never, ever talk to these losers. It was my fault. It was about a local issue. And what does the guy do? He goes and cites almost word for word a Wikipedia page, doesn't mention it's Wikipedia, and pretends it's like journalism. That's who these people are. That is why they are desperate to cover for cackling loser communist Kamala Harris and sunning the beach Joe Biden while you all die out there. Because they're commies. These are not just people who screwed up and are incompetent. They are doing this on purpose. How do you not cover how cringy this candidate is? I want you to watch something. Donald Trump, whether you like his speeches or not, goes off prompter all the time. He does. If you've never seen backstage what a teleprompter looks like, it's that piece of glass, but it's like a one-sided piece, so he can read something you can't see. I've been backstage for 3 presidents, okay? Clinton, Bush, and Obama. They go off prompter a lot, and they're comfortable with it. Nobody goes off prompter more than Donald Trump. Here's what happens when Kamala Harris's prompter breaks down. I want to play this cut for you. I'm going to play it as a sound on tape, right? And I want you to see, you'll catch it, when the prompter goes out. And I want you to watch how quickly she melts down and just starts repeating the same thing over again because she's an idiot. She has no ability to say any words not fed to her without sounding like a complete moron. Watch and see if you can see the moment the prompter goes out. It was obvious to me, and I'm going to be watching the chat. Check this out.
Remember his number? 32.
This
Today
is so
we got
bad.
32 days until the election. So 32 days.
You can see it on her face.
32
She's
days.
like, oh, I don't know
Okay,
what to
we
say.
got some business to do. We got some business to do. All right. 32 days. And we know we will do it.
We're going to do it. We're going to do something.
And this is going to be a very tight race until the very end. This is going to be a very tight race until the very end. We are the underdog, and we know we...
Guys, this cannot be our next president of the United States. Can't even speak. Like, this is bad. Can you imagine what other world leaders are thinking when they watch this stuff? Because you know they've got tails on the United States like crazy.
have some hard work ahead.
Wait, I'm watching the chat. Yes, you guys are so good. You guys and ladies, Justin and Michael and Avita got it right away. When the second she takes the breath, you see when she takes the breath and she goes, you're right, in the chat, you're like 32 days. You guys nailed it. She looks at the prompter. If you go back and watch again, she turns her head to the left because remember, the prompter's on both sides. That way, when they speak, they can do kind of the W and speak and look like they're addressing a whole crowd. You'll see, watch, she's going to take a breath. Here, she's looking to the right first. She's laughing. She's all happy. Now watch. There we go. Right
like,
there. Panic.
Oh,
Michael
dang.
just said it. Total panic. Right. 32 days. You guys are smart, man. That's why I love my audience. You guys nailed it. She cannot speak when someone is not feeding her lines. That's why whenever she does interviews, it is a...
It's bad. It's just bad. And what's even worse is that they're propping her up. And whenever you have, not only they're trying to prop her up, but then you have all this stuff that's happening. We're getting news that FEMA's not actually helping them out. We're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to other countries. Well, I thank the Lord because having Elon Musk, having Tucker Carlson, having these guys give a first account of what is actually happening, what you're about to hear is bombshell. It's about to blow your mind. Sherry Clam, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, hold the line, Americans. Keep doing whatever it takes to keep moving forward. 100%. Everybody, show Sherry some love in the chat. Remember, we're going to donate the members' dues and what you pay in the super chats to the Hurricane Helene victims through the Samaritan's Purse. It's going to be a huge, big deal, guys. We're going to do positive change with this channel. But I want you to see this bombshell news coming straight from the guy who was on the ground trying to help rescue people in Hurricane Helene. Check it out.
Do you really think that a Biden administration is going to subsidize me?
Probably not.
Are you kidding? No. In fact, they take away every contract they possibly can. For example, there was the FCC contract to $42 billion for providing rural broadband.
Yes.
Okay. We actually first said, look, we think there shouldn't be any subsidies, so we recommend that this program just not exist. But since you're insisting that it exists, we will compete, and we have better products. So we won, I don't know, about a quarter of it. Which would have included the devastated areas like North Carolina. And
right
stuff.
there.
And the FCC took it away illegally. They just voted, the 3 out of 5 commissioners voted away and said, even though you want it, we're rescinding it.
On what grounds?
And do you know how many people they've connected?
How many?
0.
So you think that was political?
Well, the 3 Democrats voted against it. And the 2 Republicans voted for it.
So you tried to get Starlink. You tried to get Starlink
Yes.
into North Carolina, into Western North Carolina, the areas devastated by the hurricane.
We have got, it is in there, and it is the primary means of communication in the devastated areas.
Wow.
You had conflict with Buttigieg over this.
Well, I raised I said, look, we had delivered, we've been delivering Starlink terminals there for a while, and obviously some people already had them since they're just, private individuals had Starlink there already. We delivered really thousands of terminals and got all the way up to the areas where they wouldn't let us go any further. And then we're like, okay, we're gonna send helicopters in and find people who are stranded and give them Starlink terminals. Which I think is, a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. They wouldn't let us land because there was an FAA notice to M and NOTAM that said in order to land, you have to know who you're going to meet with to land. Now, the problem is we're trying to deliver internet communications. People don't have internet communications. We don't know who they are, but then they can't reach us because they don't have communications. Do you see the catch-22 here?
Yes, I do.
Insane. So
As bad as me hearing this, I'm telling y'all, it really blows my mind when you have somebody like Elon who is out there trying to save people, rescue people, bring aid, make sure that people can get internet connection to communicate with their families, and the dang FAA literally wouldn't let their helicopters land because they say, well, you can't state who you're landing and going to. Well, no, duh. This disaster just happened. We're trying to help people, and they still wouldn't let them land. Do you see how politics are just literally hurting people? Because they don't want to put on the news that Elon was actually helping people because the Biden administration can't stand Elon. Darlene Snyder, thank you so much for the super chat. Darlene, everybody show Darlene some love in the chat. But guys, I'm telling you what, it's not the end of it. Listen to what he says next.
So it's obviously impossible for people who don't have internet communications to let us know who they are because they don't have the internet.
Yes.
Yes. And so,
Did you explain this to the federal government?
yes.
What did
Yes.
they say?
They fixed it.
How was Buttigieg when you talked to him?
It was actually good. So I want to
Yeah.
I want to give Buttigieg some credit here.
Yes.
First, when I complained about it, he reacted in a very level-headed way, and he reached out to me and he called me.
Yeah.
And we discussed the issue, got to the bottom of it, and he fixed it.
Good.
So credit to Buttigieg.
Yeah. Well, and to you for pushing it.
Yeah, but as soon as he was aware of the problem, he fixed it.
But you know what I love, though, that I just realized? There's no other celebrity that's doing what Elon's doing. You don't see George Clooney. You don't see Robert De Niro. You don't see any of these far left, not Obama, not, Michelle, but nobody is doing what Elon is doing to try to help people. But yet they literally demonize this guy all the time.
Well, you publicized it too on it.
Yeah.
As soon as you shamed him.
Well, but I do want to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, no, amen.
So-
I agree completely. So, but back to the original question, about the potential consequences if, having gone all in, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
You had to have thought about this long and hard before you did it. What was your thinking?
Yeah, so my view is that if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have. The Democrats, the Dem machine, has been importing so many people, bringing in so many illegals, flying in with this CBP border app thing that nobody even knew about, secret program. That's illegal, basically. It's illegal, but there's no action by the DOJ to stop it from happening. They're transporting large numbers of illegals to swing states. If you look at the numbers, these are the numbers
telling
from
y'all.
the government website. So it's like from the Democrat-administered government websites. Like, where do you get this data? From the government website that is run by Democrats. There are triple-digit increases in illegals to all the swing states. And in some cases, it's like 700% over the last 3 years. Now, these swing state margins are, sometimes 10, 20,000 votes. So what happens if you put, hundreds of thousands of people into each swing state? And when somebody is granted asylum, they are fast-tracked. They get a green card, and then 5 years after the green card, they can get citizenship and they can fully legally vote. And when they do so, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. And sometimes I get this rebuttal of like, well, a lot of them, their social values don't align with sort of the far left sort of woke ideology.
Yeah.
I said, that's true, but that's not their top priority. Their top priority is getting their friends and family also to the United States. And the Dems also issue all these programs, these sort of handouts, essentially.
Taxpayer-funded programs.
To the Democratic Party. So they vote Dem. That's what happens. So my prediction is if there's another 4 years of a Dem administration, they will legalize so many illegals that are there that the next election, there won't be any swing states.
No swing states.
And we'll be a single-party country, just like California is a single-party state. It's a supermajority Dem state in California.
Because of immigration.
Yes. California was fairly reliably Republican.
Bill Clinton lost California in '92 and won West Virginia.
Yes. So there was a 1986 amnesty.
Yes.
Thereafter, California trended very strongly Dem, and is at this point, I think, 65, 70% Dem, something like that. It's supermajority Dem. The California legislature is more than 2/3 Democrat.
Has it improved the state?
No, it's not. And California just passed, which is shocking. It's hard to believe this is even real, but California just passed a law making it illegal to require voter ID in any election at all in California. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, Newsom signed it into law last week.
It's illegal to require an ID.
In any election, even a town council.
Golly.
And a friend of mine who lives in Palo Alto was like, is this actually real? And he went to vote in some city council election. He tried to show them his ID, and they said, we're not even allowed to look at your ID.
Can y'all believe this stuff?
Have they extended this same...
Actually what's going on right now.
But
By the way, they're proud of it. They're not hiding it.
But it's
also
only
law.
voting. It's not buying a gun or buying liquor or buying a pack of cigarettes or flying on an airplane or renting a hotel room. It's only voting that it's illegal to do.
Oh, if you try to buy a gun, they're going to ID you 6 ways to Sunday.
Connie Tress, thank you so much for joining the True Life News family. Mr. Tracy J. Norby, what I don't get is why is Americans tearing our shirts off our backs and get our own government impedes any progressives or all American people who care more than our own government. This shows the true colors of this administration. Do you think? How nice. I'm telling you this, what we are seeing more than ever is that Americans, we're gonna work together, we're gonna take care of one another. But it's also showing that the administration is pure politics. Even when there's a dang natural disaster, it's always going to be about the politics and who they're trying to appease on their side. Everybody, show Connie and Mr. Norby some love in the chat.
Yeah, California's trying to make it basically illegal to own a gun. And the same people that demanded vaccine IDs for if you want to travel or do anything are the same ones who say no voter ID is required.
Is there any reason
Obviously hypocritical.
to pass a law like that except to abet voter fraud?
Right here.
It's so that fraud cannot be proven. So it enables large-scale fraud and no way to prove it, because how would you prove it? It's literally impossible.
You can't prove it.
No ID. You're not even allowed to show your ID. It's insane.
Well, it is insane.
Insane.
That's like, when this is the thing, common sense people will say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, this, we have to have some form of verification. You can't just let anybody just come up and vote. But that's where they had in 1986 when California went blue, did the amnesty bill. They've been blue, and they're like 2/3 blue, and they're trying to do that to all the swing states. Why do you think that they're flying them into all the swing states? But this is where, again, Donald Trump says, what? We got to make it too big to rig. Because if he gets in office, he works with his dream team to make some big changes so that the United States of America can stay the United States of America. Check it out.
In Pennsylvania, and I know Johnny was there. What did you pick up from that visit?
Well, he looked humbled and more devout than I'd ever seen him. And so that clicked with me. Johnny was there over the weekend, and he'll have that tonight. The storyline of this election is Trump surviving to fight for you. And whether it's the mugshots, the show trials, the character assassination, or the real assassins, his reaction to these things, that fighting instinct where you pick yourself up off the mat and you keep going forward, that has gained a level of respect for the America First movement that was not possible before. And his return to Butler is symbolic of how Harris and Biden have run the country. They have failed to protect their opponent. They've failed to protect the border, our streets, our allies, the dollar. And him coming back and surviving and fighting hopefully foreshadows America coming back and continued to fight. Now, Elon Musk didn't endorse officially Donald Trump until right after Donald Trump popped up and said, fight, fight, fight. He tweeted it out. And for a lot of other people, at that moment, when he stood up and said that, it clicked for them too. Because many Americans asked the question, why are they trying to silence this man? His entire candidacy is an indictment upon the system. The system's corrupt, it's secretive, it's incompetent, it's authoritarian. And Elon Musk is a forward thinker. And he can see that this election is not just about Donald Trump. It's about the future of the country. Can this country guarantee free speech, the right to bear arms, freedom of association, free enterprise? Can it guarantee our own sovereignty? And he's put a lot of his reputation on the line for this election because Trump loses, Kamala Harris is going to come after him and come after him hard. So for many reasons, this is an important election, and there's a lot at stake.
Judge, the crowd was massive, and they would have crawled over broken glass to be there. So what does that give you a sense of how things might go in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I broke this segment down into 4 parts. The first, the personal part. The fact that Donald Trump made it a point to bring Corey Comparatore back and the 2 other victims who were shot. And he recognized the individuals. He stopped the speech at 6:11. Which was the time he got shot. And, you know, the bells tolled. And then Chris Macchio comes out and sings Ave Maria. This audience, Dana, was so mobilized on their own. They started singing God Bless America. I mean, I had chills. I was almost in tears just watching the patriotism, how strong it was, how I was able to say, thank God not everyone is gone. And then, of course, there was the psychological aspect, the bravery aspect, where you had people who witnessed a shooting from the first Butler rally who came back. You had a president who was shot and came back. You had the family members who came back. Look, people suffer from PTSD just seeing a homicide, just seeing someone shot. These people experienced it firsthand. They came back. And then there's the political piece. Pennsylvania's a toss-up state. Every time it's 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. But to me, the telling thing was the Democrats had 916,000 more registered voters in 2016 in Pennsylvania. In 2020, it was down to 685. In 2024, it's down to 333,000 Democrats having an advantage. I really think that the way that it was orchestrated, the way that it happened, that it was just generic, it just happened, is going to really
show, it's really going to change everything. The number right now of registered voters in Pennsylvania is now more Republicans than Democrats for the registered voters. Now, remember what happened last time. I'm telling you what, they say that right now Harris is getting nervous. She's trying to do a media blitz. She literally went on a podcast called, this is the name of the podcast, Call Her Daddy. It's basically a sex podcast where they talk about very vulgar things. She went on there. They softballed the questions to her. And the thing about it is that right now, I told somebody today, I said, I would never have imagined a presidential candidate ever going on a podcast like that, where it's all about, you know what. And so it's just, she's scrambling right now, and you can see it. The poll numbers are showing Donald Trump is in the lead. We're getting more registered voters, but this is, again, it's got to be too big to rig. Check this out.
Democrats haunted by the echoes of Hillary Clinton. That's from Politico. Kamala went from being the next Obama to being Hillary. They're worried she's running the same play it safe campaign. Up to this point, she's had about the same number of events as Hillary. And Crooked had pneumonia. Since the DNC, Kamala's spent half of her time in D.C., a third of it without any public appearances. Trump is everywhere. Anxious Dems wonder why Harris isn't. Kamala's been a ghost, and even Vegas is spooked. Trump's up by 7 points in the betting markets.
This is huge.
And CNN is gearing up for a horror show.
What happens if the polls are slightly off? Remember, back in 2020, the polls underestimated Donald Trump. So what happens if we have a similar error across those key battleground states? Well, if that happens again, look at this. Donald Trump carries all of these Great Lake battleground states. He carries Nevada as well. Of course, he carries Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. And he gets, to get this, 312 electoral votes. So the bottom line is, if we have an error like we did 4 years ago, Donald Trump is going to win this election. Kamala Harris is going to lose.
Joy turning into dread. Even Saturday night feels it. Watch.
Okay, he's out there, he's doing his thing, whatever that may be.
Come on, just relax. You know, you haven't had a night off in 3 months. Do you want to watch something less stressful like the Menendez Brothers show?
I don't know, Dougie, I kind of wish I had picked Josh right now.
Oh, Josh Shapiro?
No, Josh. Cabernet.
Look, Tim'll be fine. It's not like he's going to say something crazy.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Obama world doesn't find it funny. Remember, Kamala was his idea. David Axelrod says Harris needs to step it up. It's only the most difficult oral exam on the planet for the most difficult job. So Obama's ordering Harris to do more interviews. And the last time a Democrat didn't listen to Obama, they got cooed. So Harris began a media blitz this week. This is how 60 Minutes went.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Wow.
I don't know what she just said there. Even 60 Minutes told her she's not living in the real world.
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
No one knows what she's talking about.
Nobody.
Does Kamala even know what she's talking about? She was on the Call Her Daddy podcast, and she doesn't even understand her own plans.
Another thing that I'm really focused on is small businesses and startups, and giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction, because right now it's $5,000 and you can't start up anything, any small business with $5,000.
Does Kamala not know what a tax deduction is? She thinks she's giving small business startups 50 grand. She doesn't know the difference between a tax deduction and a handout. Kamala's also never heard of the draft.
I want to pose this question more to you and the Daddy Gang, but one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
Yep.
I want to take a moment, and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision.
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body. Let's
No.
just pause.
No.
Is there any law?
No.
Look at this.
No. It's no.
Besides the draft, maybe vax mandates, even Andrea Mitchell.
This just shows you, I'm telling you, she has no idea. She's not operating up here. She's only a puppet to Barack Obama or whoever. Because in a draft, you know, it's up to a certain age. You don't get a choice. Your butt gets sent overseas to go fight in a war where there's a high likelihood that you could die. They don't ever talk about that when it comes to men. It's always about the other thing. And I have respect for the other thing. But you know what? Just right there, she didn't say anything because there's nothing going on up there.
Admits people are realizing she's a lightweight.
I think they've got to double down on doing more interviews and serious interviews. She's got such a big problem with men. I think there's an undercount of the Trump vote. I think there is misogynation in all of this, black and white men. Big problem, but also the business world. They don't think she is serious. They don't think she's a heavyweight.
Kamala's doing Colbert tomorrow, a guy who held a fundraiser for the Biden-Harris campaign. Then she's doing The View, another love fest, and then Howard Stern. The last Democrat nominee who went on Stern dropped out. These are all safe spaces that make her look like she's getting out there, but she's just hiding in plain sight.
Nothing.
We're in 2 proxy wars, the border's wide open, prices in crime are high, and she's doing frivolous sit-downs with friends. NBC says most of these sit-downs are just for the vibes. But the vibes are scary. The Democrat Party is being haunted by Hillary's ghost, and Kamala keeps seeing Biden's. Joe won't stop bigfooting her and bragging about how close they were.
President Biden just keeps tying her to his administration.
Yes, I can tell you that that was a surprise to the Harris campaign. They found out just a few minutes before that the president would be doing that. A lot of Harris aides did not find that to be helpful. They do not want Joe Biden to be popping up in that way. They also don't love the idea of him reminding people of their strong connection.
How dare the Biden tie Harris to the Biden-Harris administration? Doesn't he know how unpopular they are? It's like Kamala inherited all of his money and now wants nothing to do with them. But Biden keeps haunting her from his grave. He's insisting on campaigning for her in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. And the Harris campaign's like, you know, Joe, you don't really have to do that. It's okay. And Biden says, no, it's my pleasure. And after I campaign for you and remind everybody how you co-signed my agenda, I'm going to Africa. Joe Biden in Africa is going to attract a lot of attention. Biden stumbling across the Serengeti maybe isn't the kind of thing the Harris campaign's looking forward to. Biden on an African safari while the Southeast is under water, drowning in hurricanes, no good. A month before the election, Harris is trying to erase herself from the Biden-Harris administration and completely change her media strategy. Now, ask any political professional if pulling a 180 in the final stretch is a good tactic. That's not what you do when you're ahead.
No.
That's what you do when you're down and you're scrambling for something that sticks.
And that's exactly where she's at. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, you just saw when they went on 60 Minutes, that guy wasn't holding anything back. He was pushing her and saying, yes, but how are you actually going to do it? You keep saying all these things, but what is the reality? How are you going to get it through Congress? And she said, well, whenever you whisper, a lot of people listen in Congress. No, they don't. If everything that they say they want to get done could have been done, it would have already been done. if they talked about making the rich pay their fair share, I want to say this real quick, but I got something special for y'all because I love whenever people go on CNN and they actually tell the truth, and that's what you're about to see. But check this out. This is what bothers me when they say the rich pay their fair share. So most, of the rich, that the average, not everybody's a dang billionaire or multimillionaire, but the rich is considered, say, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 that they make in a year, which is a lot of money. But what they don't say is that they do get taxed at almost 38%. Plus, they get taxed probably an additional 14% for like Social Security and other things like that. The reason why it's stupid to say that they don't pay their fair share is because what the rich do is they take the extra money they got and they take that's already been taxed. They've already been taxed on it at a super high, almost 40% tax rate, and they go invest it. And then that money gets taxed again at 20%. So it's stupid to say that, they don't pay their fair share when no, they actually pay a lot more taxes. That the top 10% of Americans, the wealthiest Americans, the top 10%, literally pay in 70% of all the income taxes that are received in by the federal government. That's the facts. But what's also the facts is what you're about to see here. Because I love it when even on CNN, they bring in somebody who isn't afraid to speak the truth.
A newly unsealed filing from special counsel Jack Smith is putting Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election back in the spotlight. The 165-page filing lays out the bulk of evidence in the government's case against the former president. But our next guest, CNN legal analyst Helene, is calling the move, quote, a cheap shot in a new piece accusing Smith of, quote, bending ordinary procedure in this new filing. And Helene is joining us now. Of course, he's also a former U.S. assistant attorney for the Southern District of New York. Ellie, great to have you here. I want you to talk more about your criticism because it seems to be really centered around the timing of this move. Of course, we're just 1 month out from the election.
Yeah, Jessica. So my criticism here is that what Jack Smith and the judge did is they reversed the ordinary process. The way it works under the rules of procedure, I handled thousands of cases every time, is the defendant, in this case, Donald Trump, files his motion first, and then the prosecution responds depending on whatever that motion is. What Jack Smith did is he said to Judge Chutkan, well, I need to go first here, and I need to file a 4 times over-length brief. Judge Chutkan actually acknowledged that Jack Smith's request is, quote, procedurally irregular, and then she let him do it anyway. And because of that flipping the ordinary procedure on its head, that's what enabled Jack Smith to put this brief in October, shortly before the election. So I think there's a big problem with that. I think it runs counter certainly to the spirit, and I believe to the letter of DOJ policy that you try to avoid doing anything that could impact an election too close to an election.
And you've even compared this to James Comey reopening the email investigation into Secretary of State Hillary Clinton just days before the 2016 election. Clinton's actually responded to that idea, and I want to listen to what she had to say.
I think the situation is completely different. And this is in the context of an ongoing criminal procedure that the special counsel has brought against Donald Trump many, many months before the run-up to the election. It was, frankly, motivated by the orders of the judge in this trial, who has, it appears to me, been extremely favorable toward Trump. So I think that there's nothing out of the ordinary.
What do you think about that, Ellie?
I love this.
Yeah, Jessica, well, all respect to Secretary Clinton. She's the one who suffered the consequences for James Comey's, I believe, outrageous conduct in 2016. DOJ found later that it was outrageous. The problem, though, with Secretary Clinton's analysis of the Jack Smith case is, respectfully, she's got her facts wrong. First of all, she's confusing the judges here. I think she's thinking of Judge Cannon, who, yes, has ruled almost entirely for Donald Trump, but that's the judge in the other case. The judge here is Judge Chutkan. I get it, similar names. Judge Chutkan has ruled almost entirely against Donald Trump. More to the point, the last thing we just heard Secretary Clinton say was, quote, there is nothing out of the ordinary. But as I described before, the way they flip this procedure is the opposite of the ordinary. They reverse the actual way that motions are done. You can talk to 100 former federal prosecutors who've collectively handled 100,000 cases. They will all tell you they never filed their motions first. And I think it begs the question, what was the rush here? Why did Jack Smith have to ask for this, to quote Judge Chutkan, procedurally irregular approach. So I respectfully disagree.
I'm telling you guys, it's all targeted. Every single bit of it is to try to go after Trump, to try to sway the election, to try to make him look a certain way in the media. But I believe a lot of American people say, no, we're not stupid. We see what you're doing. They tried to do it in 2016 with the Russian collusion. They tried to do it in 2020. They blocked stuff, the Hunter Biden laptop. And now they're trying to do it again in 2024. They cannot stand this guy. But this is where, even on CNN, y'all, the truth is coming out. And I love it. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. I just want to say thank you to all of our new members of the channel. We had a lot come in tonight. And thank you to all of the super chats. Remember, we're taking this money and we're going to donate it to the victims of Hurricane Helene. We want to do good with this channel, and I want to give some quick shout-outs to our new family members. We got Al Persicino, Daniel, Michelle Faella, Matthew Clement. We got Connie Treffs. Thank you so much for joining the True Life News family. And thank you to the British Perspective, Terry Easter, Sherry Clem, Darlene Snyder, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, faithful fan. Guys, show them some love in the chat. I love our community. We're going to do amazing, great things. Trust me, I'm also working on some merch. We got to start wearing some True Life News merch that we say America first. I'm working all the designs because to me, I want to take a portion of that also too and donate it to charity and continue giving back. We love you all. We thank you so much for your support. And remember, we are here to serve you and bring you the top news every single day. We love you. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.